I'm Nancy Showalter, and you're listening to Spirituality for the Politically Incorrect podcast. Welcome, all radical paradigm shifters and creative change makers. You who dare to create a better life and a better world. Tap into the power that resides within you and use that power for constructive change. Hello, and welcome back to our series 10 Misconceptions That Limit You Reaching Your Full Potential. We are on Misconception 7. Reincarnation is not in the Bible. It is true, the word reincarnation does not appear in the Bible. However, we do have a couple of references that strongly indicate reincarnation. One pretty clear example is from an interaction Jesus had with his disciples that indicated reincarnation was an accepted belief by Jesus and the disciples. When Jesus saw a man that was blind from birth, his disciples asked him, "Who sinned that the man should be born blind, the man himself or his parents?" Well, the disciples would not ask this question had they not known about the law of reincarnation. And Jesus did not rebuke them for that question. They were fully aware that it was entirely possible that the man could be blind because of sins committed in his previous life, because there would be no other time that he would have committed them since he was blind from birth. If the idea of the man being born blind from birth because of sins in a past life was incorrect, Jesus would have corrected the disciples. He did this on a number of occasions. One particularly I can think of when someone said to him, "Good master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" He didn't even answer the question, but rather he challenged this person on his idolatry of the human person, saying, "Why call me good? There's none good but God." So we have good reason to believe that Jesus would have corrected the disciples if they were speaking incorrect concepts. Now, regarding the blind man and the disciples' question, Jesus did answer them. He said that neither had the man or his parents sinned, but that the man was born blind so that the works of God should be made manifest in him. Now, this is also another teaching point for us. It tells us that it's possible that we might have a burden of an infirmity because we may have chosen ourselves to bear some karma for a loved one, or for that of the planet, or bearing a burden so that God could glorify himself within us through the healing process. We don't always know what is behind our conditions in life. Now, another clear example in the Bible of reincarnation was when Jesus said about John the Baptist, "And if ye will receive it, this is Elias, which was for to come. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear." So, if we have ears to hear, we will hear. Keep in mind that there were many texts circulating within the Christian community in the first 2 centuries. Some were decided to be genuine and others not by church leaders. In 367 AD, the church father Athanasius chose the complete listing of the 66 books belonging to the canon of the church. This excluded a number of books. And in 1945, ancient writings were discovered that revealed information about the Gnostics. The Gnostics were one of the early sects of Christianity, and they believed in reincarnation. They claimed to have knowledge of Jesus' secret teachings handed down to them by the apostles. Now, the Gnostics were ultimately destroyed by the Roman Orthodox Church because they were branded heretical. Their writings, which included some of the books that were eliminated from the final Bible canon, these writings were destroyed, and their followers were burned at the stake. Burning them at the stake? Do you think that someone had a vested interest in keeping the understanding of reincarnation out of the Bible? Then there was Origen of Alexandria, who in the 2nd century was one of the most distinguished theologians for the early church. His writings included teachings of Jesus on reincarnation and the heavenly hierarchy. His books were widely used for more than a century, but at the same time they were being criticized. Well, by the 6th century, his writings were declared, again, to be heresy and condemned. So his writings were destroyed, and there's only a few remaining today. So we cannot claim authoritatively that reincarnation is not in the Bible. And in light of the 1945 discovery of the Nag Hammadi texts in Egypt, we cannot say authoritatively either that Jesus did not teach or believe reincarnation himself. And not to mention that the majority of the population of Earth believes in reincarnation. In addition, there have been some amazing stories of people remembering past lives. One of the most impressive and documented cases is that of James Leininger, which we talked about in detail in our previous episode on reincarnation. You may want to look it up because it's a remarkable story and worth your time to listen. Again, we cannot claim authoritatively that reincarnation is not or was not in the Bible. Remember, you are divine. You are created for a purpose. Join me next week for the 8th misconception. Until then, keep an open mind, a generous heart, and a powerful spirit. I'm Nancy Showalter, and you've been listening to Spirituality for the Politically Incorrect. Thank you for being with me today, and if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe on iTunes. And to follow more of my work, visit me at nancyshowalter.com.